North Dakota Today is live in Bemidji, Minnesota. It is so picturesque, beautiful, so many things to see and do. And I mentioned this earlier, everything needs to show up on Instagram because it's absolutely beautiful. Now, I am so excited to talk about this because there's so much culture in Bemidji as well. We talk a lot about Lake Bemidji, the fishing, the camping, the recreation. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the Bemidji Sculpture Walk, and joining me, both artists, both Sculpture Walk board members. We have Mitch Blessing and Tim Nelson. So thank you so much for joining us. Let's talk a little bit before we even just jump into the Sculpture Walk, because we have some, and we're going to showcase you a little bit more today as well. Talk about the culture and the appreciation for the arts community here in Bemidji.
I like the handoff. Well, Bemidji is grounded in Bemidji State University, and there's been lots of arts and culture here. It's a wonderful community. Because of that connection, there's a lot of community arts, music, theater, and sculpture. Keep eyes. And so the Sculpture Walk was founded by sculptors and artists over 20 years ago to bring outdoor art downtown. And the community really responded to that. So there's sculptures on over 20 different corners downtown, and then sort of those roots are growing out along the waterfront and out to the north end of town. And so it's still a growing concern, and it's really a community effort. It's an all-volunteer board. And I lost my train of thought.
Well, it's amazing and it's beautiful, and I think you notice right away that there is that appreciation for the arts here in Bemidji, which I think some people may be surprised by if they're not from here. When you're here, you know it, but you come in. So let's talk a little bit about the Sculpture Walk. And, I know that you don't want to brag about yourself because it's hard, especially for an artist. But, Tim, can we talk a little bit about your pieces, what inspired you, and why people need to check them out?
Well, my first piece that's getting all the attention is Les Paul guitar, and it's 10 feet high, so that's one of the biggest reasons it's getting so much attention. But that was inspired just because I grew up in the 80s. I was a huge guitar guy. Les Paul was sort of one of the more iconic ones, and I had a big railroad sign out in my garage one day, and I walked by and thought that would make a perfect guitar shape, so went from there.
That's an incredible story, and I get it. I mean, the size of that, most of your pieces that big?
No, I've always done just, I wouldn't call them small. I would say most are 3 to 5 feet in size. That one, I just wanted to do something really big, and the sign fit the size of the guitar. So
he's really developing his style now, I think, and he's also developing a larger pile of scrap metal at his house, I'm sure.
That's true.
And so his ambition is growing.
And maybe you can break him up a little bit. I know it's hard. You're fellow artists, and you were giving each other, a hard time in the commercial break. But how great is it to have the Sculpture Walk and to be able to showcase artists here in Bemidji?
Tim Nelson is a superstar. And he won't say that, but we all love his work so much, and it's an interesting story. We did fundraising fiberglass sculptures that 2D artists would paint. We had the famous beavers, and we also had, what do we have? Turtles, dragonflies. And so Tim got involved in that as a 2D artist, as a graphic designer. He just said, well, maybe can I do this? And we said, yeah, here, have a giant beaver and paint it. And he had a really successful year. And the next year he went and found his own fiberglass sphere, I think, yep, and painted it. He does this really cool cartoon graphic style. And after that, he asked the next year, well, can I put a piece on the walk? And we said, here, apply. And I think you've had something on the walk every year for what, 5?
Concrete stuff for a while, and then I moved to metal the last couple of years. So
got himself a welder, started collecting colorful scrap metal, and I can see a relationship, the metal sculptures that are very colorful, the dog and the guitar and other pieces he's done, relationship to the graphic art he used to do. So I think it's a really neat transition. Tim Nelson, look him up. He's a starving artist.
I love it. If anything can pull you away from this beautiful piece of art, Lake Bemidji, it is the Sculpture Walk. And coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about everything that is happening on the other side of us, because the heart of downtown Bemidji, great shopping, restaurants, bars, Sculpture Walk. There's so much more to see. We're going to check out some of that coming up next. North Dakota Today is live in Bemidji, Minnesota.